Hello, everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. So, as you've no doubt discerned, we are going right on along with our fighter's guide, and today we are taking a look at the other gear that you want to collect, pick up, or otherwise equip yourself with as you go about your many, hopefully successful adventures. Or if they're not successful, at least you hopefully survive them, if nothing else. So, we're going to go ahead and just go right on along into this one. And for other gear to start us off, it's a classic. It's one that is good for every class and has been featured in every single class guide that I've done so far, and that is the Cloak of Resistance. It's hard to beat it because it gives you a +1 up to a +5 bonus on all of your saves. So your fortitude, reflex, and will saves all get boosted, and the will saves are particularly important for you because maybe you don't pick up those enchantments on your armor that help protect you from possession and the like, or command, or anything like that. Maybe you need to have this. Also, those enchantments don't always protect you from everything that can affect you through your will saves. So, boosting them is going to be absolutely important. Also, it doesn't hurt to have your reflex saves jumped up a little bit either. So, definitely, if you have the opportunity to pick one of these up, grab it. If you can trade it or do some kind of bartering or jockeying with the other characters, then do so. You absolutely want one of these. And also, in that same vein, as something that's popped up every single class guide so far, is the Ring of Protection. This gives you a +1 bonus or up to a +5 bonus to your regular AC, your touch armor class, and your flat footed armor class. There's no reason to not have one of these, especially once you get to the mid to higher levels. You really, even if you end up taking like one of the lowest bonus rings of protection out there to, let the wizard have the higher AC bonus, or the rogue or whoever might have a lower armor class, fine. But you want at least a +2, +3. Let the others have something, some of the more substantial ones if you have to, or need to, or whatever, but definitely have one. And another handy item that definitely makes its way into a lot of these guides, and that's the Efficient Quiver. Now, the Efficient Quiver does a lot of great things for you and the party at large. Because for 1,800 gold pieces, you have 3 slots. One stores up to 60 items the size and shape of arrows, and that includes things like wands. It doesn't specifically have to be arrows. The second stores 18 objects similar to javelins, so that can include some different rods and the like, different meta magic rods. The third will store 6 objects up to the size and shape of bows, so this will include spears and the like, different kinds of pole arms. Maybe not a halberd, but consult your DM. But this will allow you to store a lot of different kinds of weapons and maybe carry an extra wand or two that you can break out and give to the cleric, the druid, the mage, whoever you need to start applying bonuses to you that does not eat into their spell casting or into their magic items. This way you can kind of share the pain of investing those bits of wealth, funds, and monetary items into making sure the whole party has some spellcasting items, and you find a way to contribute to the spellcasting, even though you yourself are not a spellcaster. And another one that's just a classic staple, it's the handy haversack. This one has 2 pouches that can hold 20 pounds and one large pouch, the central container, that can hold up to 80 pounds altogether without exceeding a total of 5 pounds weight. It's not a bag of holding, but when you go to find an item that you want or need for a particular task at hand, when you reach into the pouch or any of the pouches, the item you want will be on top. So while it still takes you a move action to draw the item, it does not provoke attacks of opportunity for you to do so. And if you don't understand why that's amazing, well, just imagine you need a potion of haste, wizard's down, or not anywhere nearby enough to be able to cast the spell on you, so you have that potion on hand as a handy backup. The potions are expensive, sure, but you know what? Dying's even more expensive. So you draw out the potion, you chug it down. You have saved yourself an attack of opportunity, chugging down a potion of haste that's going to give you an extra attack, extra movement, better defense, etc., etc. So, pick up a handy haversack. It's absolutely a must have for every character. But these are not all the items we have. Of course, we go on from there. We come up to the Ring of Blinking. Now, this one's a really fascinating item because, well, on command, you get to blink as per the blink spell. It's really expensive, though, costing at about 27,000 gold pieces. Actually, it's exactly 27,000 gold pieces. I have it written down right there. But Blink allows you a great degree of tactical movement and flexibility, and considering that our heavy armor will be limiting our speed, this can be a good way of moving around the battlefield and perhaps getting into a position that creates some severe disadvantages for your opponents. Maybe you surprise them all and you're the one providing flanking from the back and allowing the rogue to charge in up front and start doing their sneak attacks just left and right on everything that's between you and them. And of course, we have another item here coming up that we absolutely specifically want as a fighter. If there's a brawler, paladin, or barbarian in the party, somebody else who relies on high strength, again, jockey, trade, make deals, whatever you have to do, but you're going to want to pick up a belt of physical might or physical protection. Or perfection, not protection, my goodness. But physical might will give between a +2 up to a +6 bonus on 2 of your physical stats, costing somewhere between 10,000 for the +2 bonus and 90,000 gold pieces for a +6. Now, for sure you want your strength boosted. This build is all about that. But dexterity is my second pick, because say you have the +4 bonus to your dexterity, you get an additional 2 attacks of opportunity to have in your usable pool there. Now, there are limits on how many attacks of opportunity you can generate, if I'm remembering correctly, but, if your DM's flexible, or if I'm misremembering that somehow, and I may very well be, there's a lot to this game, but you just having that in there in the total pool for different maneuvers that maybe require you to spend an attack of opportunity out of that pool, this still gives you a wider range of options. And even then, this also helps with your defense, your initiative score, your reflex save, and a bunch of other skills, because dex is just that prime stat that does so much for any character. That said, having the bonus to your constitution ups your hit points and fortitude saves, which the hit points is the most important portion there. It's pretty significant having enough health to keep alive through multiple combats, depending on what's going on. But for things that will keep you alive, you need to look no further than the lavender and green ellipsoid Ioun stone. I might be mispronouncing that. It's Ioun. Ioun, I think, is what it is. I could be mispronouncing that. Please let me know in the comments down below. But this particular stone will absorb spells of 8th level and lower, maxing out at a total of 50 spell levels absorbed. So if you get 10 5th level spells thrown at you, that's 50 spell levels right there. At that point, the stone will burn out, and it costs 40,000 gold pieces. So definitely expensive, but absolutely worth it when you know you're going up against a spellcaster, any kind of powerful spellcaster. Instant death spells and the like may not be the most effective thing for a player wizard, but goddamn do DMs like myself ever love to use them against players. So pick one of these up if you can. The next Ioun stone is a pale blue rhomboid. Now this one just gets to be a good rating rather than great, because it gives you a +2 bonus to strength. It's exactly what we need, but it doesn't stack with any of the belts. But if this is your only option, definitely pick it up because this becomes way more important. But the instant you can get one of these belts that's giving you bonuses to two different stats and hopefully more significant bonuses than just the +2, definitely go for it. Swap it out, trade it, sell it, whatever. It's not the most expensive magic item ever, coming in at 8,000 gold pieces, but, well, in most games, that's more money than any NPCs and some player characters will ever see. So, all things in their relative context, I suppose. But now we come around to just kind of a general thing that applies to your equipment, like your armor and weapons, and that's having unique materials to make your equipment out of. Specifically, when it comes to your armor, you're going to want adamantium armor, and you specifically will want adamantium plate, because from a purely mechanical standpoint, you are proficient with heavy armor, so the bonuses that mithril armor provides will be less beneficial to you overall, because having heavy armor made from mithril makes it count as medium armor. You still need to have proficiency with heavy armor because, it moves a bit differently than medium armor does, but it makes it lighter, so it's handy for classes like Rangers. Rangers who may pick up the heavy armor proficiency so that they can wear mithril plate armor and have it still treated and count as medium armor, so that way they can keep all of their different bonuses and the like. The same thing would go for, say, the brawler who can wear light armor, but maybe wants a bit more protection. Gets that mithril chainmail made. Chainmail normally counts as a medium armor. Having it count as light makes adds a adds a significant boost to their armor class without impacting the different class abilities that specifically state they need to have light armor. So that doesn't really work well for us here because none of our class abilities as a fighter depend on having medium armor. So go heavy armor, get adamantium because it's going to give you damage reduction. It'll give you a damage reduction of 3 that really is not negated by anything other than other adamantine weapons. It will also have a base hardness of 20, so it's going to be significantly harder to break than most other items. You're getting damage reduction on top of all of this, it's only a 3, but that adds up pretty quick depending on the number of attacks you're taking. And the armor check penalty will be reduced by 1. This also adds on a cost of 15,000 gold pieces on top of the regular crafting cost for having a masterwork suit of plate armor. Also, to that end, we want adamantium weapons. The biggest bonus is that adamantium weapons will ignore a hardness rating of less than 20, so attacking different objects is much easier even without having all the various sundering feats. So if you wanted to smash through a gate, have an adamantine weapon. You want to try to cut through the wizard's staff, have an adamantium weapon. Sure, the sunder feat will definitely help make that easier, start preventing attacks of opportunity and the like, but, still having an adamantium weapon will help with that immensely. Um, Shields will also get the bonus to ignoring anything less than a hardness of 20 when you're bashing with the shield, but otherwise it doesn't really provide much of a benefit beyond reducing the armor check penalty. It doesn't give you any sort of damage reduction. Going this route will also add a 3,000 gold piece cost to regular crafting costs for making these weapons. And lastly, we come up to cold iron weapons. Specifically, you want cold iron weapons for overcoming Fae and demons damage reduction, because most of them, all Fae and most demons, I believe all demons, have a damage reduction that involves having cold iron weapons and cold iron in holy weapons, especially for the demons. This will double the cost of crafting the weapons, as well as when you go to have them enchanted, it will throw on a one-time 2,000 gold piece cost on top of whatever the enchantment costs are, just because of the unique properties of cold iron and how it's so resistant to magical effects and the like. So, these are just two examples of unique materials. There's so many more listed, not all of them providing the greatest of benefits. Some even come with penalties, but definitely it's worth looking into having your weapons made from these different unique materials. I still think adamantium armor is probably one of the best examples in this case, because while I do recommend highly having a shield with the properties that allow it to just kind of dance and move around you and protect you on its own, you're not always going to have that, because if it drops to the ground and you're two wielding a weapon and you're in the midst of a fight, you're not going to exactly be able to just step down and pick up that weapon or that shield real quick, especially since it's useless for you for 4 rounds to begin with. So, since your armor class is going to definitely be dipping at some point in longer fights, having this damage reduction in place really plays well to the strengths and weaknesses of this particular build. So, get the damage reduction, get the adamantine weapons, get the cold iron weapons, especially if you're going up against Fae or demons. But these are not the only items that are useful, and also, as I mentioned, uh, the adamantium armor recommendation comes from a purely mechanical standpoint. Depending on what the story is, you may end up with a suit of plate or mithril plate armor, and that, depending on the story and just your character's personality and how everything's playing out, that can be way cooler than having something mechanically effective that's just, bare bones math and numbers. You may end up with a suit of dragon hide plate, which technically definitely works better for classes like druids who can't wear metal armor. But if you've slain the dragon yourself, you definitely want that trophy. Something that badass that says, goddamn right, I killed a dragon. I killed a dragon and now I'm wearing it. And having weapons made from dragon bone can be incredibly appealing, or any number of different things. So, take this all with just a grain of salt, a look at what is mechanically beneficial, but whatever you find, whatever just strikes that particular fancy that you might have, keep it, take it. Don't always go with the most mechanically beneficial option. Take the enriching story options. I picked up, playing third edition a long time ago, picked up a jar of Kagodam's Marvelous Pigments, which basically had a magical effect of, if I passed a craft painting check, would basically whatever my fighter character painted, it became real, and I had been investing some points in his painting skill. So it gave him a unique way, a unique item that he could make use of, and produce some interesting effects. Definitely painted a lot of doorways through walls that we could otherwise could not get through. But, again, that's just one example. Please share your thoughts down below. Share all of your ideas, what you agree with, what you disagree with. I'm more than happy to hear it and engage in discussion. But if you've been enjoying content so far, then we've got a couple of videos popping up over this way that might intrigue you, might be of interest. So click on those and go check it out. And if you enjoyed today's video, go on down there and hit that like button. It would certainly mean quite a lot to me. And if this isn't your first time here, or you just really loved what you heard and watched so far, then consider clicking on that subscribe button. We'd also love to have you here and join in and be a regular member down here at the Gamers Den. But with that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Thank you all so very much for your time, and you all have yourselves a good night.